Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks so much for stopping by today. Today I am doing my budget Christmas card series. I do this every year. I've done it for the last couple of years, and usually I use a Michaels paper pad, and I've gone ahead and I've done that this year as well. However, I usually use the 12 by 12 holiday Christmas pads, and they didn't have any at all. Not even in my state. There are no holiday paper pads in 12 by 12. And so this is what I picked out. It's called Holiday Spice. It's a 6 by 6 paper pad. And I'm only using half of the paper. So I took 12 of the sheets out. There's 24 double-sided 24 double-sided sheets, and I take half of them out. And then I also purchased this ephemera because there isn't really enough, at least for me creatively, there wasn't enough in the paper pad itself. So I did grab a pack of this ephemera, and I believe there are 24 pieces, 2 of each design. And so the cards I'm making today are going to be fairly one-dimensional or flat. I don't put a lot of bulk on them because I want to mail these out, and I don't want it to require extra postage or have problems going through the machine. And so you'll see I don't add a whole lot of embellishments or anything like that. But for this first card, I have used a white mat and a red mat, and I am using this really pretty piece of kind of pine needles and some little berries. And for the sentiment, I am using this Happy Holidays piece of ephemera, and it doesn't fit on a 4 1/4 by 5.5 lengthwise, or up and down, or vertical. And so I did do a horizontal orientation for this. I did use some liquid pearls to add a little bit of dimension to some of those berries, and that's pretty much it for the first card. All of the cards are 4 1/4 by 5.5. When I mat them, I'm just going down 1/8 inch for each layer of mat. And so for this next card, I grabbed a scallop die from my stash. Really can use anything. A square die will work as well. And so I'm using the tree ephemera, and I'm also using some Tim Holtz stickers. And I add a piece of twine for a bow, and that finishes that card out. A lot of the ephemera I will trim off. There's a lot of white space around it, so I do go ahead and trim off as much as I can around the images that I'm using on some of them. For this next card, I'm taking a piece of the cut aparts. So this has basically 3 sentiments on one square, and I'm just cutting those apart so they are separate. And I have matted this, I believe, on a piece of black cardstock. And then I'm using a piece of green cardstock from my stash. And the gingerbread is from actually a piece of the ephemera that was a little bit bigger, and I only wanted the gingerbread portion. So another quick card. This is probably one of my favorites. I am using this bird ephemera and just a piece of the leftover paper, as well as I was going to use this sentiment, but I believe I use stickers because I didn't like the square how it looked. And I had the square, we probably all have a little pile of discards that we didn't use for whatever reason, and so I'm just pulling those out. And so I had this square kind of frame, and so that's what I'm going to end up using on this card. And so I'm just going to take a white card base, and I am popping this up slightly. This is about the width or the height of maybe 2 pieces of paper. It is that really super thin foam. I love it because it doesn't add a lot of dimension, but it just pops it up just slightly so that it's not flat against the card. And so I'm going to go ahead and add that foam and adhere that to my piece, and then I'm going to take that piece of pattern paper and put that across the bottom. And then I am using adhesive on all of these ephemera, and on one of the cards you'll see I figure out that I didn't need to do that. So I'm using another Tim Holtz sticker. I am using these red apple twinkles, and I added a little for the berries, and then I add a little bit on top by the sentiment, and I just didn't like the way it looked. And so to fix that, I took my bone folder and I just swiped it up. And so what I ended up doing to fix that was I just ended up taking my bone folder and just swiping up all across the top of the card and then a little bit along the side as well to make it look like that wasn't a mistake that I made. So, um, like I said, I think this is probably one of my favorites. It's just really simple. I love this little bird image. It is so cute. And that will finish off that card. And for the next card, another really quick one. This paper right here is really pretty. It's got oranges and cinnamon, and I'm going to add that to a piece of tan cardstock. And so here I figure out that the ephemera pieces are actually adhesive stickers. And so from here on out, I do end up peeling the backing off and adhering the pieces of ephemera instead of using my adhesive to adhere them. This Happy Holidays is just a piece of a sentiment strip, like a printable sentiment strip. Sentiment strip. Then I'm going to add a little bit of color to that as well as the background of this card. And I don't know what color it is. I just took my brown blending brush, and so whatever ink was on that is what I used. And then I'm going to take a little bit of white paint, watered it down, and add some white splatter to the card. And that will finish this card off. And I love doing this series because it's kind of nice just to take a break and not do some technique or anything like that. It's basically just doing different card layouts, and it's suitable for any level of card maker. And so it's just really fun, and I hope you enjoy it. And so for this next card, I am just taking one piece of the paper and flipping over and using both of the patterns on each side. And then I'm taking this really cute little gingerbread man. I also bought these die cut sentiments mainly because there's 24, and even though I have dies that I could cut these out with, to me it's worth the $2.99 because the amount of time it would take me to die cut all of these. The only downside to these is they are a little big, so they barely fit on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card, and I do have to trim this off a little bit on each side, so a little bit of the C and the S I have to trim off, but I think it still looks fine. But I might make slightly bigger cards and use these sentiments for that, or these die cuts for that. And so the next one, I'm using this truck ephemera, and I am using the pattern paper. I have gone ahead and I've just torn a piece of the pattern paper off just to give it a kind of a raggedy edge. And for most of my card panels and card bases that are white, I am using accent opaque cardstock because it is a really bright white, and the weight is, I'm not sure, it's over 100. I'm not sure on the exact weight, but it's a sturdy cardstock that's perfect for a card bases. And then I had this sentiment from a previous project that I didn't use it on. This is actually a visible image sentiment, and it's called Sentimental Christmas, but it's just something left over that I had from another project. And this is another one of my favorites. This little deer is so super cute. And I'm using some more of the scrap paper. So I'm using this brown pattern, and then I'm not really sure what's on the other piece. Some trees and oranges, it looks like. And I'm just going to go ahead and adhere the 2 brown pieces of paper and then add that different pattern paper right in the middle of those 2. And go ahead and remove the adhesive backing from the deer. And I did use a sentiment from an old Tim Holtz Sizzix set. I don't know if it's available. If it is, I will see if I can find it. But it's basically just a die cut, and it says joy. So I'll go ahead and add some adhesive to that and adhere that. And that is going to finish off that card. And I might add, if I don't end up mailing some of these, I may add some more embellishments if I'm going to give them locally or put them in a box to mail. And this is one of the fastest cards. So all I'm doing is taking a piece of pattern paper, and I'm using this really pretty joy, a kind of a wreath piece of ephemera. And then I'm going to adhere that to a piece of white cardstock that I already used for die cut, but you're not going to see that, so it's all good. And that finishes off that card really super quick. And so in the paper pack, there are 2 sheets that have these wreaths, and they are 6x6, and I'm not making 6x6 cards, and so they will not fit on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And so what I've done is I've gone ahead and cut them pretty much in half, and then cut around the middle portion, and I'm going to add both of those to cards. So the first card, I have grabbed a sentiment from that visible image, Sentimental Christmas, and heat emboss that in gold. And then I'm going to take 2 of those pieces of the wreath that I have cut apart and adhere those with some glue. And then I'm going to take my metallic watercolors and do a little bit of splatter. But this card is adhered to a really pretty blue piece of cardstock. And then here I'm going to go ahead and take some gold and splatter that a little bit. I don't know if you can tell, but some of the papers have a little bit of a kind of a foil accent or a gold accent, and so I was trying to match that up a little bit. And so for the next card, I have gone ahead and I have done my background. I've again used some gold embossing. This is a visible image set. It's one of my favorite scripty sets. It's called Scripted Streets. And I'm going to take this other piece of the wreath from that different piece of pattern paper and adhere that with a little bit of liquid glue. And then I stamped up a sentiment that I had from my Christmas stash, and I'll go ahead and try and do a little fishtail. And I am going to pop this up slightly just so it is not flat against the gold that's already there. So I am again using this really super thin foam that does not add really too much dimension at all. And more splatter, so more gold splatter on this card. And that will finish off this card as well. Really fun. This is one of my favorites too. I think I have a lot of favorites actually. And so with some of the leftover pieces of paper, I'm going to make some little presents. And so I have gone ahead and just trimmed down. So I'm going to have a long present, a tall and skinny present, and then just a square. And so I'm just going to take my adhesive and go ahead and adhere those to a piece of white cardstock. And I'm going to use another piece of that super thin foam to pop up the square present. And then I'm going to use some strip stickers or board. I don't know if these are strip stickers or border stickers. I've had these for a couple of years. I got them at one of the scrapbook expos from the Crazy Creations booth. I believe that's what the name of it is. And I just love them, and I don't use them a whole lot, except really, I think I get them out at Christmas. But if you don't have anything like that, and you have some double-sided tape as well as foil, you can still make your own. And I believe this is 1/8 inch double-sided tape. And then I added a little bit of the Crazy Creations in the silver on the very end present. And then I grabbed these fibers from my stash. It almost looks like that garland that you put on your tree or use for decoration at Christmas. And I'm putting glue dots down and then basically just smushing those against the glue dots, and they stick really well, and it just looks like a present wrapping thing. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a stamp sentiment for this one. And that's going to finish off that card as well as the video. So thanks for sticking it out through the video. I hope it gave you some inspiration and ideas for some really super easy Christmas cards with some pattern paper that you already have in your stash, or maybe you have this piece of pattern or this pack of pattern paper. At any rate, thank you so much for stopping by. If you liked this video or found it informative, please go ahead and give a thumbs up. Thanks again, and I hope to see you next time.